Good evening. Welcome to evening 14 of our wellness accountability sessions. If this is your first time joining us, we are doing these sessions. I'm hosting these sessions to encourage self-care, to educate you on self-care. If you have any questions or are looking for some suggestions and tips on ways to take better care of yourself during this stressful time. It's about 5 to 10 minutes of self-care talk, followed by we're up to 7 minutes of meditation together. Tonight I want to continue talking about the book Living in the Light by Shakti, Gawain. I love this book. I keep rereading parts of it and just really soaking it all in. I think that it's just brilliantly written. And tonight I want to read a part about trusting intuition. I think that we're taught from childhood to suppress our intuition and kind of adapt to what those around us think or feel or believe. So I learned a lot from this, and I think you will too. So trusting intuition. Most of us have been taught from childhood not to trust our feelings, not to express ourselves truthfully and honestly, not to recognize that at the core of our being lies a loving, powerful, and creative nature. We learn easily to try to accommodate those around us, to follow certain rules of behavior, to suppress our spontaneous impulses, and to do what is expected of us. Even if we rebel against this, we are trapped in our rebellion, doing the opposite of what we've been told in a knee-jerk reaction against authority. Very seldom do we receive any support for trusting ourselves, listening to our own sense of inner truth, and expressing ourselves in a direct and honest way. When we consistently suppress and distrust our intuitive knowingness, looking instead for authority, validation, and approval from others, we give our personal power away. This leads to feelings of helplessness, emptiness, a sense of being a victim, and eventually anger and rage. And if these feelings are also suppressed, to depression and deadness. We may simply succumb to these feelings and lead a life of quiet numbness. We may overcompensate for our feelings of powerlessness by attempting to control and manipulate other people and our environment. Or we may eventually burst forth with uncontrolled rage that is highly exaggerated and distorted by its long suppression. None of these are very positive alternatives. The true solution is to re-educate ourselves, to listen to and trust the inner truths that come to us through our intuitive feelings. Following our inner guidance may feel risky and frightening at first because we are no longer playing it safe, doing what we should do, pleasing others, following rules, or deferring to outside authority. To live this way is to risk losing everything that we have held onto for reasons of external false security. But we will gain integrity, wholeness, true power, creativity, and the real security of knowing that we are in alignment with the power of the universe. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I can get carried away reading this whole book. I think it's brilliant and very helpful and enlightening. But I wanted to give some specific examples, and this is from the author's life and the lives of her friends and clients, that in which you could be confronted with in following your intuition. And so leaving a party or meeting because you realize you don't really want to be there, even though you're afraid of what others might think of you, or you don't want to miss something good. Telling someone how you honestly feel, even though you're afraid of being rejected and it makes you feel very vulnerable, and one part of you says you're just not supposed to do that. Deciding not to write your thesis because you really don't feel very interested in it. Every time you think about it, it feels like a terrible chore, even though you spent 5 years working toward it and your parents will be upset if you don't get the degree. Taking singing lessons, music lessons, a dance class, or whatever interests you because you have a fantasy you would love to be able to sing, play an instrument, or dance, even if you feel you don't have any talent, or you're too old to learn, or you might look foolish. quitting your job because you hate it and you realize you don't need to do something that you don't like, even though you're not really sure what you're going to do next, and you'll only have enough money to last you for a few months, and you feel scared about the security of not having a regular income. So those are just some of her examples. She goes on, but she goes in depth. What I love about this book is she goes in depth on different ways you can cultivate that inner trust in yourself and your intuition, and it's very much an art form in that you have to practice it and you learn as you go, and it's all about feelings. And she describes at one point in the book how our feelings are like a rainbow, and because certain feelings are difficult and overwhelming to some and unpleasant, we can sweep them under a rug or try to rush through them or avoid them, but they're just really a part of life, and they're a part. So if we kind of just accept them for what they are, then we'll be able to live much more joyful lives. And I'll just finish this part of the Facebook Live by just sharing some exercises that she gives. So you can write down all the reasons you can think of for not trusting and following your intuition. And you can include on that list any fears you have about what might happen if you trust it and act on it all the time. You can review the meditation, which we can, I think I actually read the meditation last night. And then it says at least twice a day, more often if you can remember. Take a minute to relax, close your eyes, and check in with your gut feeling to see if you're doing what feels right or if there's anything you need to be aware of. And then for one day or 1 week, assume that your intuitive feelings about everything, about things are always 100% right, and act as if that's so. So I know it can be really hard if this is something foreign to you, but usually a good judge of if you're following your intuition, if you're on your path, if you're feeling aligned, is when you're doing something, if you feel open, if you feel happy, if you feel light, if you feel inspired, if you kind of feel like you're floating, you just feel like very happy and in touch with who you are. And then if you have the kind of opposite feelings, if you're feeling closed, frustrated, some sort of resistance there, then those are kind of the red flag to check in with yourself and maybe see, maybe you need to divert yourself or do things differently. Maybe you're making the situation harder than you need to, so on and so forth. So I'll add the name of this book to the comments afterwards. I think it's a great resource. It's very helpful, and it's a great read. So let's get ready for our meditation. If it's your first time joining us tonight, we meditate to give our brains a bath. We meditate to connect with ourselves, to clear our minds, to release any stress, any anxiety, anything inside that's no longer serving you. A really helpful thing you can do as you meditate is just welcome in anything you want into your life with each breath in. And as you exhale, let go of anything inside that's just not serving you, that's holding you back, any limiting thoughts or beliefs that don't feel true to who you are and that don't make you feel good inside. Right, so you can sit on your heels with bent knees. You can sit with your legs crossed. I'm sitting in a chair. You'll just want to sit up nice and tall. Maybe roll your shoulder blades back. Check in for a moment. Shake anything out that you need to. You can soften your gaze and choose something to stare at, or if it's comfortable for you, you can close your eyes altogether. And I'm going to start my timer for 7 minutes. We'll welcome in a nice deep breath and begin. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I hope you found the reading from the book insightful. I'll be sure to add the title of it to the comments. There's one more section that I want to share, but I'll save that for tomorrow. As always, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to leave it in the comments or to send me a private message or an email, katie@peaceinpiermont.com. I will see you tomorrow, same place, same time. Have a good night.